Hello, this is a quick video for my Criminal Justice 203 Intro to Family Violence course to provide you some extra assistance with your projects. Your projects are 25% of your course grade and therefore deserve quite a bit of your attention. But I'm also happy to help you get the highest scores possible by giving you the information you need to excel with your projects. Here's the topics we're going to cover. We're going to just do a brief overview, talk about the grading rubric, how I grade your essays, plagiarism, the help that's available within our course, and the help that's available on campus. Quick overview. Every project's going to have very specific instructions. Please make sure you understand the assignment. If you have any questions about what is expected, just send me an email early in the week. A lot of times students think they understand or they're guessing at what the assignment is. That's never a good idea. If you have any doubt at all, please ask. Give yourself enough time to meet all of the project requirements. Open the module on Tuesday. If a project is assigned, start working on it early in the week. You're responsible for writing your own essays, but remember, you can and should ask others to read your work and provide feedback. When I'm writing something really important, especially if it's going to my boss, I often ask someone else to read it over. They will catch errors that I missed even after I carefully proofread it. Another person can also ask you questions and point out that something you wrote is confusing or they're not sure what you mean, and they can point out lots of errors. So always a good idea to have someone else review work that you yourself have already created. If you've never submitted a project on Blackboard before, please watch the how-to video on the main menu. It's not very hard, but if you have any questions, please let me know. When you submit an assignment in Blackboard, you're going to get a receipt, and that receipt's going to come to you by email. It comes with a very long code or number documenting that your submission was received by the Blackboard system. If you did not get that receipt, your document was not submitted. You need to submit it again. If you have problems submitting a document, please let me know. Of course, this is another reason why you shouldn't be waiting till the absolute deadline, right? So if you're having a systems problem, you can let me know and we can get it fixed before the deadline happens. If you wait till the last minute and you have a systems problem, I may not be able to assist you in time. Here's our grading rubric. It's kind of hard to see in this screen, but just know that this chart is provided in multiple places. It will be attached to every project assignment in your module, and it's also on the main menu. And this provides really specific instruction as to how I grade your essays. Know that your essay has to have a structure. That means you have a main idea. That's the first item on the grading rubric. Oftentimes, a main idea is referred to a thesis statement. But what's really important is that you remember to answer the question that's posed in the assignment. If it asks you for your opinion of something, you have to give your opinion. If it asks you to choose between two perspectives or 3 models or 4 different types of therapy offered to victims of intimate partner violence, you need to actually pick one of them. If it asks you to solve a problem, you need to solve the problem. Make sure that your main idea is clearly present at the start of your essay. These are formal essays. They are short. They're usually 250 words minimum, which is 2 or 3 well-written paragraphs, but it's still a formal essay. It must be organized. Your ideas must be presented in a logical order. And we've all learned different techniques for this in different English courses that we've taken. An essay can be written in chronological order. It can be written in an order of steps. You may use the style of compare and contrast. There's many different styles to use, but know that your thoughts must be presented in an organized fashion. A good rule for this is to have one primary idea per paragraph. Don't try to shove too many different thoughts all into the same paragraph. That can make your writing very confusing. One main idea per paragraph, support that idea in the paragraph, and then move on to your next thought or idea in the next paragraph. Sources. Majority of your essay should be your ideas, your opinion, your solution, your explanation. I want to know what's in your brain. What I don't want is just 12 different quotes from a source tied together with your name at the top. That's just having someone else essentially write your essay, even if it's properly cited. I want to know what your thoughts, your opinions, your solutions, your explanations are. So the majority of work that appears in your essay should be yours. However, you are often required to use a source, and when you use a source, you must use complete APA citation. So there's the first 3 topics in your grading rubric: main idea, organization, and source. The grading rubric then goes on to let you know you will be graded on typographical errors. This is why I suggest to all students that they use Microsoft Word. It's free and you have access to it. All you need to do is go to office.com and sign in using your Hudson Valley username and password, the same way as if you were signing on to Blackboard or into your Hudson Valley email. I strongly discourage the use of Google Docs and other systems that aren't Microsoft Word. And it's not because Microsoft Word pays me to say that. It's just the most reliable system. I've had a lot of students submit papers with spelling errors, grammatical errors, and I'm like, really? I really thought you would spend some time to proofread this. And students will insist that they did. I did. I read it over, and I say, what program are you using? And frequently they say, Google Docs. Google Docs has a tendency to just turn off its proofreading software, so you think it's spell checking and you think it's grammar checking, and it's not. And you have numerous errors in your paper, and the system isn't highlighting them or drawing your attention to them. So I discourage the use of Google Docs and other systems. Microsoft Word is great word processing software. There's a lot of tools in there that can help you with your writing. And again, it's free. Just go to office.com and sign in using your Hudson Valley username and password. You also have free access to all the other Office programs. That includes Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint. So if you don't have Word, PowerPoint, or Excel on your computer, those are all available free to you on office.com. Grammatical errors is the next topic on your grading rubric, and again, I give the exact same advice. Use Microsoft Word or another really high quality word processing program. And for both types of errors, both typographical and grammatical errors, what you need here is time. You need time to draft your essay, revise it, reread it, proofread it, look for those errors, and have someone else take a look at it. But that requires time, right? You can't do that at 11:50 on Monday night when you only have 9 minutes to go to get the thing submitted, right? So giving yourself time will help you avoid a lot of errors. And lastly, the mini essays for a class, and I get that they're short, but it's still an essay, must be written in a formal tone. Your essay shouldn't read like a conversation. And when students ask me how to write in formal tone, the first thing I say is, don't use I. Don't write I think, I believe, I know, or we, or are, or you. You should, they should, right? That starts reading like a conversation and makes your tone really casual. Taking these words out, I think, I believe, we, will also make your writing much more powerful. There's a big difference in your writing between the statement, I believe that the best solution is, versus the best solution is, right? It's much more powerful to just get to it. So if you eliminate these words and phrases, that will help you make your tone more formal. Now we're going to move on to using sources. So let's say you are writing your essay about the effect of intimate partner violence on children, and you're looking around online and you find a site called the Journal of Children's Health. And on there is an article called The Impact of Intimate Partner Violence on Children. It's written by Monica Salinger, and it's dated August 1st, 2022. And I'm going to give you a second to read what you find on this website. So just go ahead and read this passage. So when you're reading this, you think, wow, this is really good. This is really what I wanted for my mini essay, because you want to use that statement. Children who are routinely exposed to IPV have higher rates of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. And you're like, that's exactly what I want to say in my essay. That's what you think is the most important thing from this article. And that's great. You can use that. But if you use a phrase from a source word for word, you're copying it exactly as you see it published. You must put quote marks around the phrase, have an APA in-text citation at the end of the sentence, and you must have an APA reference cite at the end of your essay. So this is what it would look like. This is your essay. You wrote, it is important for clinicians to understand that children exposed to intimate partner violence, IPV, suffer serious emotional consequences. That's your thought. That's your main idea, so it doesn't need a cite. But then you wrote, research has shown that, quote, children who are routinely exposed to IPV have higher rates of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation, unquote. And then you put your cite, Salinger, 2022. Because you took these words directly word for word from that online article, you must put those words in quotes and then put the cite. And then in your references at the bottom of your essay, this is an APA citation for a website article with an author that gives a date. Now, you have completely cited your source. I know exactly where you got that information from, and I know that you're giving the author credit for her work because that's what she wrote, right? So if you're going to write what she wrote word for word, you have to give her credit, and this is how you do it. So you had your main statement first, stating that it's important for clinicians to understand that children exposed to intimate partner violence, IPV, suffer serious emotional consequences. And then you provided support for that statement by using the quote from the author you found online. And at the end of your essay, you gave a full citation to where that information is located. Let's say you found that same article and you're like, well, I don't really need to use that quote exactly. I can put that into my own words. That's fine. But when you take information from a source and put it into your own words, you must have an APA in-text citation at the end of the sentence and have an APA reference cite at the end of your essay. So this is what this looks like, taking that same information but putting it in your own words. The first sentence is the same. It is important for clinicians to understand that children exposed to intimate partner violence, IPV, suffer serious emotional consequences. Research has shown that when children are exposed to IPV, they are more likely to experience suicidal thoughts and depression. Well, that's a little different, right? You took what Salinger wrote, but you put it into your own words by saying that research has shown that when children are exposed to IPV, they are more likely to experience suicidal thoughts and depressions. But you still have to give her credit because the reason you know that these kids are more likely to suffer suicidal thoughts and depression is because you read that in her article. So you still have to give her credit at the end of the sentence, but you don't need to use quotes because you put it in your own words. And then at the end of your essay where you have your references, it's the same. I'm going to focus on plagiarism just for a second. I know a lot of you students who have taken numerous online courses have gotten lots of lectures and information about plagiarism, but it's really important that I give you mine because I take it very seriously. Plagiarism is taking any work, thought, statistic, phrase, or research written or created by another person and using it without giving proper credit. It is stealing another person's work and passing it off as your own. Plagiarism is a form of academic dishonesty. It is cheating. If you plagiarize someone else's work in our course, you will receive a 0 on the assignment. If there is a second occurrence of plagiarism, I will refer you to the Criminal Justice Department chair and or the Hudson Valley Judicial Conduct Committee. That's how seriously I take it. So that's why I give you all this information so you don't plagiarize your work and none of these steps are necessary. So how do you avoid plagiarism? It's not too hard. When you're looking for information for your essay, keep track of your sources. Write it down. We all think we're going to remember, right? We're not. You're going from article to article, site to site, source to source, book to book, and then you think, oh no, I don't remember where I got that from. So while you're researching, keep track of where you're finding that information. You can bookmark a site. That's not really the best idea. I would write it down. That way, when you go to cite your sources, you know exactly where that information came from. Use the APA citation resources on the main menu, right within our course. I give you numerous examples of how to cite different sources, and examples provided include how to cite a source when there's no author, or when there's no date, or the name of the publication isn't there, whether it's a textbook or a website. I give you lots of examples right on our Blackboard site. Ask me for help. I am always happy to answer questions about how to cite a source before you submit your project. You can send me a really quick email and say, I found, a great quote on this website or in this article, and I don't know how to cite it. I will help you do it. And lastly, you can use the Hudson Valley Writing and Research Center. They provide really excellent assistance on how to find a relevant source, how to use a source within your paper, and how to cite them. And lastly, give yourself plenty of time to write, proofread, and cite your project. Again, if it's Monday night at 11:50 and you're trying to find sources and you're trying to cite them properly, that's most often where plagiarism occurs. Students who are time pressured, who are starting to have a lot of anxiety, who are starting to panic, trying to get something in on time, are the most likely students to quickly grab something offline, throw it into their paper, and not cite it. And it doesn't matter if you intended to do it or not. If you use someone else's work without proper citation, it's plagiarism. So again, the best way to avoid plagiarism, give yourself plenty of time. So remember, if you use a phrase from a source word for word, you must put quote marks around the phrase, have an APA in-text citation at the end of your sentence, and have an APA reference cite at the end of your essay. If you use information from a source and put it into your own words, you still must have an APA in-text citation at the end of the sentence and an APA reference cite at the end of your essay. So where can you get more help with this? Well, locate project help on the main menu. I put 4 items there that you might find really useful. The first is an article I wrote called Sources, Plagiarism, and APA Citation Examples. If you want to know more information about citing sources, how to avoid plagiarism, or how to cite a specific textbook, website article, YouTube video, go right to this document and you're going to find the help you need. Under Project Help, you'll also locate a copy of the grading rubric. Project Help also has an article I wrote called Expanded Grading Details. So you may not still be sure about what I mean by formal tone or what's the difference between a grammatical or a typographical error. So in that document, I went through each item in the grading rubric and just wrote a bit more about what each one means. And lastly, there's a sample mini essay. Oftentimes students tell me, I wish I could just see something, like I don't know what she means. I want to actually look at an essay to get an idea of what she's looking for. So I created a sample essay and I put that on our Blackboard site under Project Help if you'd like to just get an example. Lastly, please don't forget the Hudson Valley Writing and Research Center is available. They provide help both in person. They're located on the 2nd floor of the library. They also provide help via Zoom. You can make an appointment to have a Zoom meeting. They also provide assistance during the evening hours. So please use the Hudson Valley Reading and Writing Research Center. Lastly, just some scheduling reminders. If you submit your project late, you will receive an automatic point deduction. I will not accept any project 10 or more days after the due date. If you do not submit a project, you will receive a 0 for that assignment. And that's not something I'm going to let you make up like doing an extra credit project at the end of the semester. So if you do not submit a project, you will receive a 0. Remember, I'm happy to read a draft of your project and provide feedback before it's due. So if you've created a draft and you think it's pretty good, but you just want to see if you have any errors or if your citation is correct, you can send it to me by email no later than Sunday at 9 p.m. Please send it to me by email. I only want your final copy of something submitted by Blackboard. If you send it by email, I can give you some quick feedback and send it right back to you. I hope the information in this video was helpful. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.